All right. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to celebrate the awardees of the Activate AI Economic Opportunity Challenge. My name is Perry Hewitt, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at Data.org. And we were honored to partner with Zoom to promote this challenge to really enable people to start thinking about, what are some of the ways that AI can be applied for good in the world. So when we look back at the goals for this challenge, we really want to identify collaborative and community-oriented AI and data solutions that drove AI workforce development, developed pathways for future-friendly jobs, built climate-resilient communities, drove principles and practices of responsible AI with applications focused on economic opportunity that are also climate aware and locally informed. At Data.org, we talk a lot about things being, globally informed and locally led. So things that bring the local context to the work that they do, that source innovation from communities around the world that bring their expertise to bear, and contribute to thought leadership in data and AI for social impact. We found this is Data.org's fifth Global Innovation Challenge. And we find with each of these challenges, we learn a little bit more and we have more to share about the great work that's being done. So it was hard. We had over 500 applicants for 76 countries. So that was a huge pool to draw from. So you are meeting six really spectacular organizations here today. What were we looking for? We were looking for solutions that were impactful. Like if the project's successful, what's the impact it will have? There's, one thing where you write a lot of elegant code and it looks really special, but how does it change, what happens in the world? The role of AI, to the project use AI both responsibly and in an innovative manner? And breakthrough, is the project an innovative solution to the problem it seeks to solve? Are you able to solve something in an entirely new or different way? We care deeply about economic opportunity, and that's a core part of the impact. And finally, we looked at the potential for scale and replication. Again, there are so many smart ideas that germinate around the world, but which were the ones that really have the potential to scale, to be applied in other contexts, or even be applied to different kinds of challenges? So that's the kind of stuff we were considering when we were evaluating these applications. And again, we were honored to get so many terrific applications. We had a deep pool of finalists, and the six awardees you'll meet here today really bring something special to the table. So now I'll turn it over to Josh Calmer, who's the Chief Global Affairs Officer for Zoom, to talk a little bit more about Zoom's context and role in this challenge. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Perry, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. The first thing I just want to say is congratulations to our six awardees. You guys earned this. Really excited to briefly introduce you today and to just be a part of this. First of all, just want to say thank you to Perry and Lindsay and Emma and the whole Data.org team. Doing something at this scale with 500 applications, 76 countries, having a process for review that's fair and rigorous, that is really hard. You all made it look easy, but we know that it wasn't. So let me take a couple of minutes and just talk about Zoom's involvement in all of this, what struck me during the judging process, and what we're excited to see from this amazing cohort of innovators in the year ahead. So at Zoomtopia, which is our major customer conference every year, which happened last September, Zoom Cares, which is our philanthropy arm, announced our AI for Good commitment, which is a recognition that as Zoom evolves as an AI first company, we have a responsibility to make sure that AI isn't just a productivity tool for enterprises and big companies, but that it's a genuine lever for people and communities around the world, especially those who have not had access to the kinds of economic opportunities that other folks have had. We chose to partner with Data.org because they understand something really important, which is that innovation doesn't just happen in Silicon Valley. It happens everywhere around the world, in cities, in rural communities, among the young, among the old, men, women, people everywhere. And so ensuring that we have the infrastructure to fund those innovations is something that we saw in Data.org, and we're really excited about it. I didn't know exactly what to expect when the judging process started. The first thing I'll say is that it was just a really meaningful process to be a part of, both because of just the sheer number of impressive applications, but also the thoughtfulness and the seriousness with which all the judges took the process. I think the thing that really stood out to me, especially among the six awardees, was that the organizations that rose to the top weren't necessarily the ones with the most sophisticated technology. They were the ones, again, that almost made it look easy, and we knew how not easy it is. But in other words, where they had designed AI to impact the actual lives of the people that they serve. And so, just thinking about what it looks like in practice. I mean, Umbaji isn't asking West African farmers to look, necessarily learn a new interface or own a smartphone. Yoda meets them where they are. It's in their own language, in their own voice. Um, Dentai looked at the billions of people who are credit worthy but can't prove it through a traditional bank, and solved that problem with a voice first interaction instead of a form. Brazier's Pobot protecting migrant workers across some 50 jurisdictions, and these are the people who are some of the most vulnerable at times and the least served by existing systems. So that instinct, start with people, not necessarily the product. That's where that's what AI should look like in the social impact context. And then just the sheer ambition of what awardees were trying to do, what Code Your Future is doing, taking AI, turning it into a pathway into the tech sector for refugees and asylum seekers, or Nest Center in Mongolia, building local language AI training data from scratch. Because if you don't build that infrastructure, it's hard to maintain your language and your culture in an AI future. And then finally, connected women in the Philippines, combining digital literacy with AI powered insights to really support women owned small businesses and make them more competitive. So I'm really excited to be here. Over the next year, we're committed to not just being a source of funding, but being a source of thought partnership and support however we can be. Our relationship with data.org is deep, it's enduring. We're going to stay in touch. We're going to be a resource for everybody. We're just excited to see what happens. There's a lot of hard work ahead, but the six people and the six organizations on this call today are really well positioned to take it forward. So we're in your corner. Let's get to work, and we're really excited to see what comes next. Back to you, Perry.
Thanks so much, Josh, for those remarks, and thanks to Zoom for your partnership. I mean, one thing we're very aligned on is the human at the center of this work, and you can't achieve impact without keeping the human at the center. So, what was data.org? We think about responsible data and AI for social impact, and without having that globally informed, locally led approach, without thinking about the impact of humans on all the work you do, all the decisions you're making, it's really impossible to move in the right direction. So I'll kick it right off with a bunch of questions. And if people want to add more questions in the chat, that's always open. Emma will be monitoring and feeding me questions. Um, Agnes, I'll kick off with you. At Connected Women, you pair AI-powered business insights with human coaching for women stores openers in the Philippines. How much more impactful do the AI insights become when paired with training? And I think that picks up on this comment of there's a technology there, right? We're providing AI insights,
Correct.
but we're augmenting it with training. So how do those two things work together? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Perry, and hello and good evening from Manila, Philippines. First off, sari-sari stores are actually small neighborhood convenience stores. They are selling a little bit of everything. Typically, it's built in front of a family home or a small stand in a street corner. There's about 1.3 million sari-sari stores, and about 80% of those are run by women. AI insights for us become much more impactful when they are paired with training because women are not just receiving information, they are actually learning how to use it. A sari-sari store owner already knows her business in a very personal way. She knows her customers because these are her neighbors. They know what they usually buy, they know what they ask for, and what happens in the community around her. But many of these store owners are still basing their decisions on memory, on habit, or daily pressure. AI can help them by showing useful patterns, such as what products are moving, what they need restocking, or what opportunities they may be missing. But an insight is only useful if the person receiving it understands what it means and feels confident enough to act on it. That is where the training and the human support come in. Through Connected Women's approach, we want to help women store owners understand the insights, ask better questions, and connect the information to real business choices. I'll give you a few examples. Um, should I restock this product sooner? Should I try a small promotion? Are there products that my customers may need more at a certain time? How can I plan better instead of just reaching day to day or reacting to it day to day? We also believe that human support is important because AI does not always understand the full local context. Sometimes a store owner may know that a product is not selling because there's a fiesta or a school schedule wherein they have items that they need to prioritize. There's bad weather, there's another local event happening, or there is a change in the household income in the community. These are things that may not be obvious from the data alone. This is why
Mhm.
our model brings together AI, insights, training, and human in the loop support. The goal is not to make decisions for the women. The goal is to give them better information and help them use that information with confidence. We also see an important role for our IDA graduates. These are our scholars who does data annotation. In this process, they will help validate, they will help explain, and support the use of AI insights so that the technology remains practical, inclusive, and grounded in those women's lived realities. For us, the goal is not to replace women's judgment. The goal is to strengthen it. AI becomes more useful when it supports the knowledge, the confidence, and the decision making power that women are already exhibiting and that they already have. The real value is when women store owners can look at these insights and say, hey, I understand this. I know what I can do next. Thank you,
Right.
Barry.
Thanks so much. There's a word, that we hear more and more of in the sector, which is agency. And it sounds like what you've done is provide the insights and the training with the humans, but really providing these women, sorry, store owners with the agency to make those decisions, which is what we all hope AI will help us do. So, German, like Agnes at Code Your Future, using AI to scale human capacity, not to replace it. How does adding AI to training make it more human, not less? How does that better support your mission of guiding trainees into new technical careers in the UK?
Thank you so much, Perry. Yeah, as you're saying, Code Your Future is an organization that has a clear mission in mind. We're offering a vocational training program, meaning that anything that we do has to lead to employment. That's where we believe that fundamentally people's lives change for the better and for the long term. And for that, we have developed a guided, coached, and mentored program where professionals from the industry are volunteering their time to guide folks to start that employment. Now, that of course, that means that the time that those professionals, volunteers are giving is very precious. And that's when AI can play a big important role there. For us, we have a very clear formula. We have to deliver the most outstanding program that we can. Therefore, it's very challenging. It's very difficult for folks to complete it. But at the same time, we want to maximize the support that we offer. So we both have a high bar, and at the same time, we want to ensure that we give as many tools, as many resources as we can, so that it maximizes the chances of our trainees, our participants to complete the program. And at the center of all of that, what we have been discussing already, saying a lot, is the human connection. The human element has to be there because AI alone, technology alone, being online alone does not make a difference into people's lives. It is fundamental that that is led by the human component. So for us on the pedagogy side, we have a formula where every single person has to have the foundational knowledge first. The core concepts have to be brought, and there is nothing like humans to actually ensure that people are learning. And for us, AI is not a replacement for knowing those hard concepts. It becomes a guide. It becomes a tutor. Once those core concepts are there, then AI helps to accelerate the knowledge, the guided learning, and the tutoring. So
Mhm.
for us, as a community source model where the professionals are the ones that are guiding folks, it's very important that we maximize the time, the interventions that they do. So the AI allows us to then take on a lot of manual tasks, a lot of the repetitive type of work that a volunteer is not needed for, so that they can spend more time on that quality intervention to ensure that they can have one-to-one mentorship, one-to-one support, to do some pair programming, to be able to encourage and motivate folks. So we, as an organization, we were having a bottleneck because we were having so many requests, so many people want to know the basics about guiding, about learning. Is it this for me? Do I want to should I go for this type of training? What kind of employments are there? So an AI concierge that we're going to be developing, thanks to the support of Zoom and data.org, will allow to have those early conversations with people that may be shy, that may not be fully, have the confidence to start talking to people and start gauging and learning on what the best options are for them, and from there to carry on. Um, Once they're into the program and then they're learning and they are submitting their tasks and their code reviews and then programming challenges, then AI can pick up some of the early tasks, some of the um, easy problems to fix, give feedback, and then have a human in the loop for the more complex type of interventions, the things that require a back and forth, that require a conversation, that require um, um, a more thoughtful type of guide. So by mixing both the automation and the human guidance, the
Mhm.
mentorship, the role modeling with the scale of the AI, we believe that we can combine and creating, the perfect type of project and program that makes a difference in people's lives.
That's great. I love the idea of an AI concierge coming out of this work. But your earlier point's also valid that nothing excels like AI at admin and bureaucracy, right? None of us should be making spreadsheets ever again. So it's wonderful to be able to offload some of that to center the human in the great work that you're doing. I'm going to
Exactly.
turn a little bit toward the topic of language. Justin, thanks for joining. Ambaji's voice-enabled agent works in 12 plus West African languages. Can you walk us through a moment when you realized that AI speaking a user's native language wasn't just about translation, which we all know translation unlocks culture, but translation unlocking economic opportunity that wouldn't exist otherwise? By being in some of these West African languages, how did it unlock economic opportunity for some of the folks you work with? Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here today. So talking about Yadi and economic empowerment of people in West Africa, I think when you try to solve the unemployment challenge in Africa and in West Africa in general, you quickly realize that more than 50% of the economy, for example, in Togo sector. And talking about the informal sector, we're talking about people that do not necessarily use formally spoken languages for business at a daily
Mhm.
basis. So we've worked with companies, for example, one microfinance institution that provides motorbike loans to taxi motor drivers, and then these ones, by driving the motorbikes, can afford money to repay the bikes. So I think this illustrates well one moment where we realized it wasn't only about translation, but it was really about empowering the company to be able to send the alerts and opportunities to these people that do not necessarily have the means to track the payments, the new opportunities that they have to acquire new motorbikes, or even new opportunities to achieve delivery on the behalf of this company. So I think for us, this is one of the moments where we realize it's really about providing economic opportunity to people in West Africa.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I'll turn over to Duya Bater of the Nest Center. You're digitizing 30 years of newspapers to teach AI to speak Mongolian accurately. I think you said on your interview the 3.5 million Mongolian speakers in the world today. So, what happens to Mongolia's economy if you don't do this? If these languages don't get put into LLMs, what gets lost when AI can't understand your language, your cultural context, or your history?
Mm. This, I would say, is a part of our effort to try to tell our story ourselves. Um, I have thought about or really dreamed about digitizing newspaper archives since about 10 years ago when I used to work for a newspaper myself. And then my intention of wanting to digitize that was try to build an internal system, news workflow system, so that our reporters would have easier time searching for information that happened in the past and would be able to rely on more trustworthy information. And back then, when we said digitization, we were thinking about converting the printed newspapers to PDF files, right? But now we're still trying to do the same thing, but in a more usable, user-friendly manner, making it machine readable, searchable, in a way that different users can really use it in different ways so that they can create different economic opportunities for them. As you said, there's only 3.5 million population in Mongolia. So that would mean all the information that is available in Mongolian language on the internet is somehow not sufficient to really train a very good LLM, national LLM. It's not to say we don't have them and we're not attempting to do them, but there's also the issue of quality. And Mongolia being positioned right between Russia and China, we are subject to a lot of coordinated disinformation activities. So if our LLMs are being trained solely on those data that is publicly available on the internet, then there's no talking about the quality of the information. The data from digitized newspaper archives from the last 30 years is Mongolia's whole democratic history, basically. So the last 30 years is the complete time frame that Mongolia was allowed to have different voices. So we're choosing that time frame to digitize the daily newspapers. At its best, we had 15 daily newspapers that was published every day, but as of today, we have 3 to 4 daily newspapers. So that also reflects the economic challenges that media organizations are facing at this point. So newspaper data is not just any Mongolian language data. This is fact-based, created by professional journalists. It is the most trustworthy record of Mongolian history that is available out there. So we're trying to digitize those. We're hoping to create various economic opportunities for different users. On the user level, this will help people be more informed about what has happened in Mongolia's modern history without being subject to various manipulative disinformation. Media organizations and journalism institutions may use this to create new AI tools that serve their audience but also create new economic opportunities for their organizations using the contents that they have created over the history and basically packaging it into more sellable products for themselves as well. Journalists can use this tool to interrogate the history and simplify their workflow. And the way I'm looking at AI coming from a country that speaks a low resource language and also that was completely left behind in the previous digital kind of leaps that humanity has gone through. I look at AI as an equalizer because
Mhm.
most part of the humanity, this is very new. And that's something that's making us very similar to each other. So this is kind of an opportunity for me. I feel it is an opportunity for countries like Mongolia to really make up for the gaps of human development that it was left behind in the previous digital disruptions. And we're really excited that this is a very huge step for us from Mongolia. And we are finally able to do this with the support of you guys. So, yes, I want to look at it as a beginning. But yeah, we'll see. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So I'm hearing a leapfrog opportunity potentially with the level playing field of the new technology. And I love the two examples around language we had. One was centered around motorbikes and one was centered around media. So you show you that language unlocks so many different capabilities and economic drivers in a community. So Robinson, over to you. At Identi, you work with rural and smallholder farmers in Peru who have many reasons to be skeptical of AI and new financial systems. What's a design choice that you made specifically to build trust with populations that have been excluded from formal finance for their entire lives?
Well, thank you. Actually, that's a really interesting question. Actually, at Identity, we have been working for the last actually more than 5 years, understanding how the technology could be adapted to the needs of the rural economies. No, so your question is like we all the time say like, okay, we need to. Adopt the technology to make the transition or the implementation easier. But there's a cultural barrier that is really hard. We're dealing with farmers that the average age, at least in the Andean region in South America, it's more than 60 years, many of them.
Wow.
So imagine all the time actually you have so your life works today without dealing with technology. And what we found is a really interesting phrase here. It's like when we were discussing with them, they say, "Hey, you need to write, for example, a paper to asking for a loan," and they say, "But now it's harder because when I was young, my word have more value." And we started discussing what means for them that their word have value. For them, they say that when they say to somebody, "Hey, I will pay you in 2 weeks," for example, no, that's agreement and that's have value. So we started understanding that for them, actually, a voice agreement between two parties have the power of actually meaning something. That's how we started discussing. Hey, we understand that the voice actually have a real impact in this economy. Also, we found that most of the farmers they don't read the newspaper; they hear the radio. That's how they hear the news. So we starting following the patterns that actually voice have a really deep meaning here. So that's how we say, okay, let's build an AI infrastructure that can use the voice as a trusted authentication channel for the users. So that's how we starting. Also, we found that even right now we know that it's easier to get access to more sophisticated devices. Many of the farmers we are working with have these basic feature phones, right? That this
Hmm.
is old Nokia's that the battery long for 2 weeks, no? So and we found that there, even if there's no camera, or some of them have a kind of camera but quality, most of them have a good microphone. So we say,
Hmm.
okay, we can work there. And also the final advantage there is that a phone call can travel in scenarios where internet cannot reach. So we built a whole infrastructure of AI that can use voice even by a phone call to authenticate any user and adapt the whole KYC process that is the traditional KYC process because the financial institution says, hey, we need by law a KYC registry if to onboard a new user. So we adapt the whole KYC process to the real context of the farmers, and thanks to that, right now the farmers can apply to different kind of financial services just using their voice.
And the act of using their voice, you're saying, is how you build trust. It's an interface they're already familiar with, so they're not having to learn something new. You know, if they're 60 plus, not necessarily tech forward, that gives it an opportunity to build the trust with the community. Great. Thank
Exactly.
you so much. So, Salma, over to you. Migration's POBOT helps migrant workers report abuse and access resources to understand their rights across 50 plus jurisdictions in Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. How do you assure a worker, in a vulnerable position, that's safe to trust your AI system with information that it could affect their livelihood? And I think of this question in the context of going to a lot of conferences, and people say, "Who trusts AI?" And generally, the three people on the stage, raise their hand. So I think there's a lot of ground to be made up there. So you're dealing with such vulnerable people. How do you help to build trust in your system? Thank you.
Thank you, Perry, for this question. So, as you mentioned, the vulnerability and the situation of the migrant workers make it a little bit challenging for this because basically they feel isolated, feel afraid, feel unheard. All these things actually add to the challenge of it. So, one of the first way we build trust is through language. So, Popot is a multilingual, so worker can communicate in their own language. For many migrant workers, language barriers are one of the biggest reasons they cannot seek help or fully understand their rights. When someone can explain their situation in the language they most comfortable with, it immediately makes the experience more accessible and less intimidating for them. Another important part of trust is also the contextual accuracy. So basically, we serve migrant workers through different jurisdictions. So basically, we'll have to have a different context for each jurisdiction of this. So migrant workers move across very different legal and cultural environments. So POPUT is also designed to provide guidance that is aware of the worker jurisdiction and migration context. What may be legal in one country could be exploitative or illegal in another one. So providing information that reflect local labor laws, migration policies, and available support pathways helps workers feel that the assistance is relevant to their situation, not just generic AI advice. Secondly, Popot is not appearing as a random standalone AI tool because it is integrated within the communication channel of migration. So where we have already spent years building trust with migrant communities through awareness campaigns, case supports, and providing remedies for facing exploitation. So many users already know us, know migration as an organization that listen to them and help them navigate difficult situations. So Popot benefit from that existing relationship and credibility. And finally, we intentionally designed Poput with a strong human in the loop approach. So we have our migration specialist team coming from different migration backgrounds themselves. Many were former migrant workers or come from migrant worker families. So that lived experience mattered because they understood the emotional, legal, and cultural realities behind these cases. So the AI is never fully alone to handle sensitive situation. The team continuously reviews and evaluate responses, and when a case involve risks يعني involve risk abuse or requires deeper intervention, so Popot can use the escalation layer that we built in directly to the directly to the migration specialist team. So I think that this combination of accessible AI and human oversight is it what help worker feel that they are not just talking a machine and they can trust it.
Great. Thank you so much. It reminds me of the expression we use here, nothing about us without us, that you have people who've been in very similar migrant situations. Now, they're
Mhm.
involved in the decision making or the advice offering. Were they involved in the build of the platform itself?
Yes, they were testing and they're retrieving their feedback. Their feedback is always how we design products. So it's designed within the feedback.
That's great. Thank you so much. So one of the great privileges, first of all, thank you to all of you for your wonderful answers to the questions. And as Josh said, it was incredibly difficult to winnow out 6 awardees from 500 such strong applications. But one of the real joys of running these cohort programs is we mentioned it's not only about the funding and the mentorship, but I believe there's a lot of strength in community of the 6 organizations themselves and what they learn from one another. So I wonder if I could just open up to all of you. What's one thing you're hoping to learn from other awardees in this cohort? It could be a specific awardee or it could just be something in general that you hope by being in this cohort that you will gain. So I'll open it up.
I'm happy to start if that's okay. If no one else wants to. I would love to, on a practical layer, I would love to understand more specific what are going to be the frameworks, the approach that are going to be used in the implementation, ensuring that is that we keep to the budget, we keep to the safe rail guards, and at the same time that it creates the impact that we want. So having a chance to exchange the approaches of the AI implementation, that would be something wonderful. And the second one is it would be wonderful to see to learn more in detail on the different approaches that these wonderful awardees are using on implementing the tools at a local level. We're hearing already of so many innovative and creative ways of doing it, and having an in-depth eye into that will give a lot of inspiration for our own project.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I could.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Justin?
From our perspective, it's very. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Um, Thank you very much for also about how we partner up together. Change not only about the frameworks but also the tools that we're using to make the expected impact. For example, we have built a data collection infrastructure, whereas the people that are benefiting from the AI that we system about economic opportunities are also part of the collection pipeline that we had put in place. So they are kind of incentivized at the same time to build the AI models that are useful to them. And I think this, for me, is an interesting approach, but would not be the only approach about how we train an AI for impact AI model. So for me, it's really about that. How do we come up together and think together and build some approach together or exchange one another's to have a better impact.
Great, thank you. I think Agnes, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I actually look forward to learning from the other ORDs on how they are building trust within the communities that they serve. Because AI will become very useful if people feel that it is relevant, if people feel it is safe, and if they think it was designed with them in mind. So I think there's a lot to learn from each other, and I look forward to sharing those experiences with everybody.
Thanks. I was thinking of that when you were speaking too of I think you said 1.3 million sari store owners, predominantly owned by women across the Philippines, and then thinking, how do you build trust with that community? How do you say, we all are so tempted to just trust our gut. It's
Yeah,
hard to let go and let data, and AI is yet another black box. So anyone
exactly.
else, or shall I move on to another question?
Just a quick a quick word there. Actually, yes. Also, from my perspective, what I understand actually is like we usually we are real focused about the problems in our local communities usually, but it's really interesting just to hear about how different kind of entrepreneurs and organizations deal with the challenge and solve the problems. And I really believe actually that could be great actually to learn from the other peers, but also to understand maybe how the technology or the solution we are building actually can solve problems in different contexts and different regions, because
Mhm.
actually I believe we are more close than we think in the problems and the solutions.
That's great. Thank you so much. And that's the dream, right? Finding great solutions that not only can scale within their communities, but can travel to other contexts and to solve other problems. So thank you so much for that. Another question. What does activating economic opportunity actually mean for the people you serve? Not at the organizational level, but the individual level. I think, Agnes, you covered this a bit with the Sorry store owner. Like this would affect how she would, buy a certain tool or buy a certain, stock a certain inventory or reduce stock of other inventory based on the data that she now has. But are there other awardees who want to speak to, on an individual level, perhaps what might a journalist create when this LLM is built? Or, are there other examples that people want to share down to the person level of what the world might look like in 12 months when these grants are awarded and these solutions are in place?
Mm. Well, I could speak on that. So we have various different users that we're serving. It's the readers, it's the information consumers, it's the information creators, who's the journalists, and the media organizations who are employing the journalists. So those are three different levels of consumers that we're serving. For at the very grassroots level, for the information consumers, basically creating economic opportunity is explained by the fact that they are provided with trustworthy information. They can trust that information without any fear, and then they can base their information decision off of those information, and those decisions can basically help them create a better livelihood. That's what we believe.
Mhm.
It's in every context. Now that we're talking about AI, it's just the tools are different, but the underlying theory is still the same. And AI is basically empowering us to make it easier for them to access those information, but at the same time, it does create certain challenges. So we want to cover both of them. Journalists, they will, in Mongolia, you might not believe me, but journalists are the least paid profession. Um,
Mm.
um, yeah. So and if like somebody in your family falls ill and somebody has to go out of the workforce to look after that person, it's always the journalist in your family because that's the most discardable job that you have in your
Mhm.
family. So we want to change that. With the coming of AI, we believe actually journalism is going to be one of the jobs that's going to be most important because we
Mhm.
need human created relevant information. But AI can help us make it more um, effective, impactful, and it can
Mhm.
also help us understand and talk to our audience at a very individual level so that we actually serve our audiences in a more meaningful way. So that's where we're also combining our LLM creation part with trainings of journalists. So we're planning to train 150 journalists through this program as well, where we hope that they will have increased economic and job opportunities, increased salary, promotion, especially for women journalists. Yeah, so.
Sounds like a big opportunity. Thank you. Anyone else? I don't know, Salma, if you have examples. I mean, I can imagine that when you make migrants aware of their rights and their economic opportunity, there must be some pretty uplifting stories of, how that can help them to seek independent employment, for example, if that's a possibility.
Yes, I would just add that actually there is maybe three stages of migrant workers that they seek economic opportunities in the migration. So we have three stages. We have the first stage is the pre-departure stage, where actually migrant workers are looking for economic opportunities abroad. So they are searching and they are often targeted by misinformation, illegal recruitment fees, or fake job offers. So
Hmm.
our solution, Popot, is help them recognize the safer migration pathways, understand the contracts and verify the information and avoid opportunity that may actually lead to debt bondage or exploitation. And the second stage, which actually, okay, so there might market worker that reach out to us in this second stage where they actually, okay, they are during the migration, they are abroad now, and the economic opportunity also mean having the ability to protect the income and future they migrated for in the first place. So Popot in this case help them understand their rights, identify what is legal versus exploitative, and access support when facing issues like withheld salaries. So sometimes the employer will withhold their salaries, or there will be contract substitution or excessive working hours or abuse. So sometimes the migrant working knowing that this specific practice is illegal gives a worker the confidence to seek help instead of remaining trapped. And the third stage of also of the migration is the integration stage. So we can say that the economic opportunity here should not end with the migration end. For returning workers, Popot and migration help connect them to a reintegration support, remedies, and pathway to rebuild sustainable livelihood with their own communities. So they left what they done behind. So we have to reconnect them again with their community. So I believe this is an economic opportunity for them. So, for example, we have a worker in the Philippines considering a job overseas before leaving Popot. Before leaving, Popot helped them immediately identify warning signs in a suspicious recruitment offer. Later, while working abroad, the worker realized their employer is withholding wages and violating the original contract. So, through Popot, they learned that the right access support and channels and safely seek assistance. Eventually, if they choose to return back home, so they can reconnect with local support system and opportunities to restart economically without falling back into the same cycle of exploitation. So it's basically as an example of the three stages that we have and how economic opportunity is staged in each one of them and how we cope with how we try to help with this.
That's really helpful context. Thank you. Anyone else before I go to our final question?
On the Code Your Future side, I would say that one of the biggest opportunities we see to activate economic impact is for folks who are considering a change and a start in a career, to see technology, careers in technology sector as an opportunity to start a new life. Something that we have seen, that is becoming a negative factor on AI, is that a lot of people who are outside the professional industry, professional careers, are perceiving that there is no point on learning technology skills because AI will do everything.
Mhm.
And it is when they started getting exposed, when through the conversations, that we're going to be using the LLMs, is to show, to demonstrate how much there is to do, how many doors it is opening, and that actually it is the opposite. It is the in-depth knowledge that they can gain through the program that will enable them to gain opportunities in the sector. And the other one is that once they can learn and start using in a very professional, proficient level the AI tools, they can understand how much it will be there to do, how much this is just the beginning of an era of where folks with the tech knowledge, with the tech expertise, will be able to work across so many sectors, so many services, so many different areas,
Mhm.
because technology, software, and AI will be present in pretty much anything that we do.
Right. There's no question that AI will be ubiquitous, but who are the people who are the managers, the partners, and the co-creators of the work during the AI era? And sounds like Code Your Future is very focused on that. So thanks so much. So I'll swing to our last question, which is, I'll just call on each of you to answer this one. AI activated economic opportunity can deliver exponential impact when? And I imagine when could be anything from visionary to the future toward, what are the three ingredients that you're going to be using as you move forward with this project? So I'll start with you, Agnes.
Thank you, Perry. I think it will happen when it is designed with communities and if it's helping people make better decisions in their everyday lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia?
When used responsibly, with human in the center.
Yep. Definitely a theme of humans today, which is very much resonates with Data.org's positioning. German?
When artificial intelligence is tied to human-led inspiration and mentorship.
Right. Robinson?
Well, from a perspective, when there's no friction between the need and the goal of using it.
Great. Justin? I don't know if you can hear
I
us.
would say when it's community centers, yes, I can hear.
Right.
I would say definitely when AI is community centered and
Thank you.
problem solving oriented is definitely when we have it.
Great. Thank you. Salma?
I think when it reaches the right vulnerable beneficiaries at the right time in their local context and language, and also through that channel that they trust and comfortable using.
Thank you so much. And I'll take the moderator's privilege to say that AI activated economic opportunity can deliver exponential impact when we all come together across sectors to solve these problems. No one can do this alone. And on that note, I'd like to thank Zoom again for their generous support of the challenge, the many social impact organizations and judges who contributed to make this challenge a success, and of course, to congratulate the 6 stellar awardees from the 500 applicants across 76 countries who really rose to the top. We are so excited to work with you in this coming year. Thank you for your participation today, and thanks for all you're doing with social impact through data and AI. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.
everybody. All the
Thank
best.
you.
Thank
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet
you.
you all.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.